The Tokyo nightlife is both famous and infamous, the latter being associated with red light districts, hostess bars, and clubs. However, perhaps most prominent is the multitude of drunk salarymen, who are often observed having passed out on trains, in the streets, and everywhere in between. But why does this happen? We can examine this phenomenon by beginning early in the morning, where the rigorous work culture of Japan prompts the salaryman to begin his day before the sun rises. After waking as early as 4:30 a.m., the salaryman's morning is characterized by the excessive morning commute, which can take up to an hour and a half if the trains are very crowded. It is important for the salaryman to arrive at work before his official start time because if he arrives exactly on time, he will be considered late. Already we can see from the salaryman's morning routine the evidence of rigorous Japanese employment. Because of a cultural emphasis on collectivism and group harmony, employees are discouraged from quitting their jobs, even if they are being mistreated. There is a proverb in Japanese, "Deru kugi wa utareru," or "the nail that sticks up shall get hammered down." Those who are considered unconventional or bothersome by Japanese standards will experience societal pressure to conform. In the workplace, this means that if an employee does not adhere to the standards, working late, drinking with boss, etc., they will be shunned within the company, their pay will be cut, or they will experience other ramifications. Black companies in Japan are perhaps the most extreme example of Japanese work culture. The term black company refers to exploitative, sweatshop-type employers, most often associated with excessive working hours, harassment, and low pay in an office setting, rather than manufacturing. Salarymen will continue working past the official end of the workday, as it is generally expected that employees stay until their superiors leave. Now, at the end of the day, even though the salaryman has finished with all of his work, he is still obligated to go out drinking with his coworkers and his superiors. These activities will often labor on until midnight, to the point where the salaryman misses the last train home. The drinking culture in Japan, called nomikai, typically only applies to male employees. Company drinking culture dictates that the employees must go out drinking with the boss after working hours instead of going home. The employees are obligated to agree. Nomikai are held to build strong working relationships, celebrate projects, and foster team cohesion. A Japanese friend of mine defined this occasion as nominication, or drinking communication. There are many cultural aspects that influence the ways companies operate in Japan. Firstly, traditional Japanese culture places the group's needs above the individual's. Employees are expected to prioritize the company's success and avoid actions that might rock the boat. Secondly, a strong emphasis on respect for elders and superiors means a rigid hierarchy is maintained. Declining an invitation from your boss to go out drinking with everyone is viewed negatively. Lastly, there is a deeply ingrained sense of professionalism, where going above and beyond contractual obligations is expected by both customers and service providers. Therefore, staying hours after work ends and participating in nomikai is reflective of this belief. All of these factors together contribute to why one might find salarymen passed out drunk on the streets, or in the train. The life of a salaryman in Japan is not necessarily an enjoyable one. During my time in Japan, one critical incident that I had was when I was out late one night and witnessed several drunk salarymen who were passed out on the ground and in the trains. A few salarymen were surrounded by water bottles that people had placed around them, so that when they awoke, they could hydrate themselves adequately. As someone learning about Japanese culture, I found that this is a commonplace occurrence. We can infer that Japanese assumptions dictate that drinking after work is a normal obligation. We can also infer that sleeping in public when drunk is not shameful, but instead is normalized, to the point where strangers will look after you by leaving water bottles nearby. However, looking at this experience through the lens of an American cultural context, it would be received very differently. Public drunkenness would be considered a problem. Work should not require unhealthy behavior like nomikai, and if someone was passed out on the ground, somebody should help them more directly, like calling an ambulance. There are broader implications of the issue, such as the fact that in collectivist societies, saying no to group norms can cause problems socially, even when it's harmful to the individual. Going forward, I will support my friends in Japan if they choose a more unconventional career path, because I know they are doing so to avoid becoming a company slave, as is the commonly used term for such a person. The implications for the future indicate that perhaps more young people will start moving away from the toxic work culture and will choose career paths that are healthier and more supportive. Overall, this experience shifted and challenged my previous understanding because I did not understand the intricacies of Japanese work culture or how deep company obligations run. It was something of a culture shock because even though certain workplaces in the United States can be grueling, it is nowhere near the effect of Japan's work culture. Seeing drunk salarymen passed out in the streets and trains was jarring at first, but after examining the root causes and influences, I think it is easier to understand and conceptualize why this happens in Japan.